Guess what I was thinking of earlier?
What?
I was remembering when I was a lot younger and I really wanted to ride a roller coaster, but I was also pretty scared to ride a roller coaster. So I went and I got on the ride. Um, I waited in the long line. I sat down, and then the straps came over me and they locked in place, and I knew I couldn't get out, and I was really scared because I couldn't go back, but I also did not want to go forward. And I felt trapped. Have you ever felt that way?
Yes, I definitely have felt that way throughout my life. And, actually, that reminds me of the story in the Jesus Storybook Bible from Moses and the Red Sea. Now, this story is taken from Exodus, chapters 14 and 15. And the story goes like this. Moses and God's people escaped out of Egypt and into the wilderness. They didn't know the way, but God knew the way, and he would show them. I will bring you to a new home, a special land, God promised them. I will look after you. I am with you. God sent a big cloud for them to follow, a pillar of smoke stretching up to the sky. It moved in front of them as they walked and shaded them from the blazing heat of the day. And when it was time to rest, it stopped. All through the cold desert nights, it kept them warm, glowing like fire. God led his people through the desert to the edge of a great sea. They were just wondering how to cross it when suddenly they heard a terrible thundering and pounding. It sounded almost like horses' hooves. They shaded their eyes to look back and screamed. It was. Pharaoh and his army were coming to get them. Pharaoh had changed his mind again. Get my slaves back, he screeched and charged out into the desert after them with 600 of his fastest horsemen and every single chariot in Egypt. What were God's people going to do? If you look here, things look pretty rough. They look surrounded. Well, in front of them was a big sea. It was so big that there was no way around it, but there was no way through it. It was too deep. They didn't have any boats, so they couldn't sail across. And they couldn't swim across because it was too far and they would drown. And they couldn't turn back because Pharaoh was chasing them. They could see the flashing swords now glinting in the baking sun and the dust clouds and chariots after scary chariot surging towards them. So they did the only thing there was left to do. Panic. We're going to die, they shrieked. Don't be afraid, Moses said. But there's nothing we can do, they screamed. God knows you can't do anything, Moses said. God will do it for you. Trust him and watch. But there's no way out, they cried. God will make a way, Moses said. Another minute and it would have been over. But then the strangest thing happened. Whoa, look at that. God made the pillar of smoke move. It moved behind his people and hid them from the Egyptians. Then God sent a strong east wind to blow all night long. It blew on the water of the big sea. It blew it to the left, and it blew it to the right, until it blew it into two towering walls of water. And there, right through the middle of the sea, a muddy pathway opened up. And God's people walked across on dry land. Wow. This is after they've walked across. They're celebrating. But when the Egyptians tried to follow, the walls of water crashed back down on them and swallowed them up. God's people were safe. They danced and laughed and sang and thanked God. When there had been no way out, God had made a way. Many years later, once again, God was going to make a way where there was no way. From the beginning, God's children had been running from him and hiding. God knew his children could never be happy without him, but they couldn't get back to him by themselves. They were lost. They didn't know the way back. But God knew the way, and one day he would show them.
Wow. That was a good story.
It was.
So let's think about our story. Did God's people escape Egypt?
Yeah.
They did, but they were lost.
Yeah.
How did he lead his people?
Through like a cloud of smoke and pillar of fire or something like that, maybe?
That's pretty amazing. Why were they worried about the Red Sea?
It's pretty big and pretty deep, and the waters were kind of like moving really fast.
And there was an army behind them.
Yeah, and the whole army.
And they had no choice.
Yeah.
Were they able to save themselves?
Nah.
No.
I'd say not.
They were in a pickle. What did Moses do to encourage them?
Well, Moses told them to trust in God. He told them to wait, to be still, and to trust that God was able to save them.
How did God rescue them?
Well, he did something insane. He basically sent a great wind, and it pushed all the water to the sides, to the right, to the left, and then the people just walked right through.
Wow, I've never seen that happen before.
Me either.
When God rescued his people, they trusted in God. And we can trust him too. Even when things seem really scary. I've never had an army chase me, but sometimes things are really scary.
Like what?
Oh, lots of things.
Oh, really? Like speaking in public?
Like speaking in public, or like being afraid of the dark.
You're afraid of the dark?
Yeah, I am. Every story in the Bible whispers Jesus' name, and we don't hear anything about Jesus directly here, but we learn about God and that he is our rescuer, and we know that Jesus is going to come later and rescue us too, and we can trust him.
Sweet. Well, Karis kids and Karis family, thank you for listening to another segment of the Jesus Storybook Bible, learning about Moses and the rescuing of God's people from the Red Sea. Bye-bye.
Bye.